Today I'm going to show you how to create a realistic t-shirt mockup in Adobe Photoshop. So let's get started. Hey everybody, so today I'm going to show you how to create a realistic t-shirt mockup in Adobe Photoshop. This is really easy to do, so don't freak out. It may look a little complicated at first, but once you do one or two, you'll have it down. So the first thing we're going to do is open up our t-shirt image in Photoshop. I already have mine open here. I've got the back here and I've got the front here, but we're just going to do the front for right now. So the first thing we're going to do is cut the t-shirt out of the background. And if you need to do this really quick, you can grab the magic wand tool and click on it. You may have to adjust your tolerance up here, but it'll do a pretty good job. But up here at the top, it's kind of jaggedy. Let me blow that up. So you can see it's kind of jaggedy around here. And then on the sides, it's kind of stair-stepped, like right in here. So the best thing to do is just create a clipping path. And it'll take you a couple of minutes to do it, but it'll look a lot nicer and you'll have a lot smoother edges than using the magic wand tool. So let me zoom in here and grab my pen tool and we'll get started. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a clipping path around here. And this may take you a few minutes, but it'll look a lot nicer than using the magic wand tool. And you want to try to, when you do this, you want to try to get just a little bit inside the edge, because down here you can see there's a black line and it's real jaggedy, so we just want to try to get inside that a little bit. And you're not really cutting out that much of the shirt, so you won't even really be able to tell that you trimmed it out a little bit. And instead of making you watch this, I may just speed this up a little bit so you don't have to sit there and watch me draw this whole thing, but it shouldn't take you more than 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes to do this at the most. And once you do a few, you'll get a little faster, so don't worry about that. We just want to get in there and just kind of get rid of that little black line. Make sure we get rid of all these little jaggedy edges. Okay, so I think I've got that pretty good. Looks like we've got all the edges taken care of. We're just a little bit inside the edge all the way around. So that all looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is come over to my path palette and I'm just going to create a path around this tag right here. So we'll just click. Now that we've drawn that shape, I'm going to come over here to the flyout menu. I'm going to do Save Path, Path 1. Then I can go ahead and delete that shape. And now I've got my path saved right there for that one. I've got my path saved right there for my shirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Command 0 to zoom out. And in this path palette, my work path, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Command, and when I hover over the shirt icon, the work path, you'll see a little hand with a square. What that means is when I click that, it's going to load that as a selection. So I'm going to click, and now you can see I've got the little marching ants all around my image. And what you can do now is you can either come over to the layers, select that layer, and hit mask to get rid of the background. Or if you click this little lock icon on the background image. It'll unlock it. You can come to select inverse, and that's selecting the white area, and you can just delete that. So you can do it either way, either with the mask or with deleting it, because I'm never going to need that white background again. So I'm just going to delete it and get it out of there. So now what I'm going to do is hit Command D to deselect that. And the next thing I'm going to do is do Command L to bring up my levels. And I want to darken up these shadows just a little bit. So I'm going to slide the white over about there, and then I'm going to slide my midtones over this way, and you can see they're darkening up a little bit. That might be a little bit too dark, so I'm just going to back that off some. That looks pretty good right there, so I'm going to say OK. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to select all of the dark areas in the shirt, and for that we're going to need our channels palette. So if you don't have your channels palette open, you can go to Window and then just click on Channels to open it. But I have mine right here. So I'm going to go ahead and open that. You'll see we have an RGB, we have a red, a green, and a blue channel. And most of the time you're either going to pick the green or the blue channel because they'll have the best shadows. But you can try all three and just see which one you like the best. So we'll click on the red one first, then the green, then the blue. I think I'm going to go with the green one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Command. And again, I get the little finger with the little square on it, which means I'm going to load the selection. And when I command click this, it's just going to select all the gray areas in the shirt. So command click. You don't really see anything happen except right in here, and right under the arm here, because it's a little more gray. And also right up here on the collar. But believe me, it's selected all of this gray in the shirt. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to select inverse, to invert your selection. Now I'm going to come back over to my layers palette. I'm going to come down here to the bottom of my layers palette, and I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to turn off my shirt layer. And you can see I still have this selection. So before we fill this, what I need you to do is check over here at the bottom of your tool menu where you have the foreground and the background colors. Make sure you have the black on the left and the white on the right. If you have different colors there, just press the D key on your keyboard and that'll return it to the black and white default. If you have white on the left and black on the right, just hit your X key and it'll switch them, and then we're ready to go. So now I'm going to hit Option Delete, and you'll see that filled my t-shirt selection with black. And all this is just the shadows. So now what I'm going to do is, with that layer selected, I'm going to hit Command J to create a duplicate of that layer. And then I'm going to hold Shift and select both layers. Come up here to the little flyout menu on my layers palette. And I'm going to do New Group from Layers. I'm going to call this Shadow Layers. And just click OK. And for now I'm just going to turn off number 2 so we just have 1 on there. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer. So we'll come down to the bottom of the layers palette. We'll click the new layer icon, and I'm just going to turn this shadow layers off for right now. And this layer 3, and I'm going to name that tag, and I'm going to drag that down here below the shadow layers. I have my t-shirt layer turned off. We can delete that, or we can just leave it there. I'm just going to leave it there for now. So I want to go back over to my paths palette, and I want to command click on path 1, which is the tag that I drew. And you can see right here it made a selection, little marching ants right here at the top of the screen. I'm going to go back to my layers with that tag layer selected. I'm going to come down to the bottom of my layers palette, and I'm going to click the mask button, and you'll see it turned everything black except for that one little white dot at the top where my tag is going to be. So now I'm going to click back on the little checkerboard part of this mask, and I'm going to come over here under my toolbar, and I'm going to select kind of a medium gray color, and I'm going to click OK. And now you're going to see that here in the color palette, and also over here under the toolbar, that swatch is turned gray. And in the layers palette, I have this one selected, so I'm going to hit Option Delete to fill that with gray. And now you'll see there's the tag for my shirt. So if I turn that back on, you'll see that matches up with the tag of my shirt. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come back down to the bottom of the layers palette. We're going to click this new layer icon again, It'll give us another layer 3. Let's just rename that to shirt color. I'm just going to drag that below our tag right there. And with this layer selected, go back to my paths. This time I'm going to command click on the shirt, and you'll see the little finger with the square. Command click, and now you can see it's loaded the selection here of my t-shirt, just a little marching ants of my t-shirt. I'm going to come back to my layers, and with that shirt color selected, come down here to the bottom of the layers palette and click on this mask icon again, and now you'll see it's black around the outside and just white in the middle where the t-shirt is. So that means anything in the white area is going to show, and anything in the black area is just going to be masked out. Now I'm going to click the little checkerboard square in that layer. I'm going to click on my color. I'm just going to change that. Let's do a blue. I'm going to click on my color libraries. I'm going to go to like 300. I want more of a royal blue. This will work right here. 2925. I'm going to click OK, and I have this square selected. So I'm going to do Option Delete, and I'm going to fill that. And so now we can see our t-shirt, and that's just the color of the shirt and the color of the tag. Now what I want to do is come back over here to our shadow layers that we turned off and just turn that little eyeball back on. And there you can see that we have the texture of the shirt. And if we come up here, either up here in the color palette or over here under the toolbar, if we change that to a different color, let's say 165, now we have that color selected. We have this blue square selected. We can do Option Delete and change the color of the shirt. That tag layer that has the gray, you can see that that gray makes the label show up. Because if we turn that off, then the label would be the same color as the shirt, and that just looks kind of tacky. So that's why we add that little gray area for the tag so that it looks more like a real shirt. Okay, so now that we have our shirt set up, and I want to go back to that blue color we had, 2945, there we go. But before I change that color, what I want to show you is, you can see how faint the texture is on this shirt. So that's why we did 2 layers. So if I turn the second layer on, you can see that it applies it twice, and now that's like way too much. So what we can do is select that top layer, layer 2, come to the opacity on the layers menu, and just take that down to about 20 to 25. And now you can see it just darkened it up just a little bit more. If you want to go maybe 30%, I think that'll be alright, but you don't really want to go too dark because then it just starts looking fake. Alright, so the last thing we want to do is we want to add our image. I want to move this over for just a second. So I'm going to drag my logo over here. I have one that's just a white version. I'm going to drag that over and drop it. And that's an Illustrator AI file, so it's going to bring it in as a smart object. I'm just going to click OK. I'm going to grab this corner and hold down Shift, Option, click and drag. That way it scales it in proportion from the middle. I'm just going to put that there, hit Enter or Return to lock in that selection. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my colored logo. I'm going to bring that over and drop that in. It's also an AI file, so it's going to bring that one in as a smart object. So I'm going to Shift, Option, click on the corner, scale that down, hit Return to lock that in. Now I'm going to scoot this back over. And if you have a PNG file, that'll work too. Let me see if I can find one. I'm going to do File, Open. I'm going to go to my Dropbox, Rhino, and I've got a PNG file right here. We can bring that in. So I'm going to grab my Move tool, click that, and I'm just going to drag that over here to the front and just drop that in. And then Shift, Option, click on the corner, drag, and there's that one. Hit Return to lock that in, and then we'll drag that below the shadow layers too, so you can see how the shadow layer affects that, gives it a texture. So that's the PNG file, that's an AI file, and this one's an AI file. So I'm just going to click this PNG file and just get rid of that one for now. I'm going to go click on this orange layer for the shirt color. Since I've got my blue already there, I'm going to do Option Delete, change that back to blue. And I'm going to turn this one off for right now. I just want to work with this white one for a minute. So I'm going to drag this up here, and I'm going to click on the corner, Shift, Option, drag, make that bigger. And if you wanted to print this like on the side or something, or have like a side print, and you were just going to put it here for the mock-up, you can see that you can see the whole image. So the way to fix this is to clip this inside of our shirt mask. The way you do that is you click on the shirt mask, not the color, but the square that looks like the shirt. And like we want to clip this tag in there. So I'm going to hold down Option. I'm going to come up here to this layer, and you're going to see a little box with a downward pointing arrow. And when I click, it clips that inside of that shirt image. I want to do the same thing with this logo. So this is the logo here, the one color logo. I've still got this selected. I'm going to hold down Option. I'm going to come up here to this layer, and you see I've got the little downward pointing arrow with the box. I'm going to click, and you see it moved it over a little bit, and you'll see that it clipped that image inside that mask. So now if I click that and I move it, whoops, I got the wrong. I'm going to go ahead and lock this shadow layers for now, so I won't keep moving them around. So now when I click on this, I can move it around. If I wanted to do a huge print, I could drag this out so that it would print, like that. So if you're trying to do like an all-over print, whenever you apply the graphic, it'll just trim it at the edge of the shirt. And again, we can come over here to our shadow layers. I'm going to unlock that. And we can adjust this if we want those a little bit darker. We can turn it up, make the texture a little darker on this dark shirt. So then if we decided we wanted to do a different color shirt with our colored logo, we can just turn off that white layer. And again, we want to clip this image with the shirt mask. So I'm going to click on the mask that looks like the shirt. Hold down Option, come up here to the logo, this logo that's blue, and I'm going to Option, click, and now that's mask inside. So let me go ahead and lock these shadow layers again. So now if I grab this and move it around, you can see that it's mask inside there as well. So I want to click on this, and I want to change the color of my shirt. So this time I want to do like a cool, we'll just do a cool gray color. Option, delete. And there we are, we have that on a gray shirt. And then let's say on the gray shirt, you don't like the tag matching the shirt. You can click on the color for the tag, and we can just change that to a lighter color. Let me type in cool again. We'll just do maybe 4, say OK. And then with that color selected, Option, delete, and change that tag color so it's more white, doesn't blend in with the shirt. And again, you can see how the texture is laid over the graphic, so it kind of gives you a little more realistic look to the shirt. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to do before I'm done, I want to add another layer, drag it to the bottom, and I'm going to fill that with white, Command, delete. Now what I want to do is come down here to this FX button, and I want to click Color Overlay. And I want the blend mode to just be normal. So whatever color we choose, it'll put that color on the background. So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna choose that blue, was it 2945? I'm gonna say OK. And I wanna add like a little texture to it. So I'm gonna click on the texture button, and I wanna change the texture to, let's just do these dots. I'm gonna scale that up a little bit, make them a little bigger. Got different kind of lines and stuff. I'll just go with the vertical lines. Yeah, that'll work. So I can click OK on that. Then we have our mock-up. And then one other thing you can do, so this isn't so flat, if you click on the shirt color layer, come back to the FX, you can do like a little drop shadow on it. And you want the drop shadow to go this way since the light is coming this way. And the cool thing about this is, instead of having to fool with trying to figure out these numbers, you can just click down here and just drag the shadow out. And then you can just, adjust the spread. You can adjust it a little bit, the size, just to kind of like, blur it out a little more. Probably want to change the color to black, about 45%. I said 45%. Maybe 55%. And you can just adjust that however you want it. Then click OK, and it just, gives it a little more depth instead of just a flat shirt sitting on a flat surface. Then if you ever want to change the background color, you can just click the FX button. You can go to color overlay, click this. We can type in a PMS color, let's say 165, changes it to that color, just save it. You can also come back in here and change this texture to something else, to these little dots maybe, something like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So before I go, I'm going to change my shirt back to the 2945. And I'm just going to put that white logo back on there, turn that one off, and reduce that size down a little bit. And that's pretty much it. There you have your realistic looking t-shirt mock-up in Adobe Photoshop. Oh, and one more thing before I go. If you want to subscribe to my channel and you want to join my Facebook group, you can click the link down below. But if you join my Facebook group, then I'm going to put this file up there where you can download this for free, and I'll put the link down below. So anyway, I guess that's about it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. If you like this video, please share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Also, make sure you click the little bell icon and turn on notifications so that you'll know when new videos are available. If you want to follow me on social media or join my Facebook group, all the links are in the video description below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later. As soon as the air conditioner goes off, I can finish this. Blooper reel.